This is the Royals POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Kansas City Royals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Royals POSTCAST on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chance Liebau, and I'm here to bring you reaction to every single Royals game the rest of the way. Follow me on Twitter at Chance Liebau. That is at ChanceLiebau. If you can't make a show live, don't worry. These episodes will be uploaded for you to listen to on demand wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for making the Locked On Royals podcast or the Royals POSTCAST your first listen of the day. Before we get started, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on our notifications so you get an alert whenever we go live. Thanks so much for joining the show. Feel free to join the live chat and let me know your thoughts on the game, and I'll do my best to get to some comments at some point here in today's episode. Parker in the chat already asking, did Jack not have an episode today? I'm not going to speak for Jack Johnson, but it would not surprise me if Jack had something tonight coming out. He probably wanted to get a little bit of a rest. I know that he's been busy at work, so nothing from Jack so far, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got maybe a twofer tomorrow, but that'd be a Jack question for him on Twitter/X. Appreciate you guys for joining in here tonight. I know last night was not a particularly well-received episode. I'll put a hand up. I apologize. I was a little bit fired up, caught in the emotions, and I had some choice words that I probably shouldn't have said. And so for those who I might have upset or ruffled feathers, apologize, and I'm going to do my best not to have it happen again. But appreciate you guys for being in here tonight. We're all entitled to our own opinions here, and I do not want to discourage anybody from voicing theirs in the comments. So I appreciate you guys being here and encourage you guys to continue to smash the like button and join us in the chat today. All right, here's how it's going to go today. We're going to talk about the game. That's what we do here on the show. But today's game was a big one. I said it on Sunday. They need to take one in the Red Sox series, just one. And while they didn't impress very much in the first two, obviously want to see them win tonight, and they do. Michael Wacha was stellar tonight. And I know there are going to be people in the comments asking why Matt Quatraro took him out in the sixth inning. And I'll be honest, I was quite confused by that as well. Maybe there will be a bit of an explanation coming after the game in the post game. Obviously, it's not a home game, so there might not be as many local media in Boston. But I was a bit bit surprised by them taking Michael Wacha out. But, of course, Michael Wacha is the focal point of what you'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Michael Wacha, he is the subject of what you'll be talking about because he was fantastic tonight. The one thing that I love from the Royals veteran pitchers, that being Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, the two grizzled veterans of this pitching staff, they are excellent, elite stoppers. They are guys that when things come at you, when things get rough, those guys are going to push back and they're going to stop a losing skid. That's the reason why the losing skid this season, when the Royals have gotten cold, it's not been because of the pitching staff and what they've done. It's been because of the offense. You are going to every fifth day and every 2.5 days, if you want to average it out, get a really good start from Michael Wacha or Seth Lugo. Michael Wacha's ERA, and this stunned me as well, is down to 3.36. And he has been really good recently. And I am someone who is a bit of a Michael Wacha skeptic. I don't love him. I think he's very hit or miss. There are very different ends of the spectrum with Michael Wacha. Had trouble with the long ball early this season. And I said it in last night's show, he has to be able to keep the ball in the yard tonight. And he did that. And not only did he do that, he came out of the gates rough in the first inning. I mean, really not a great first inning from Michael Wacha. But he sat down 15 of 17 after that rough first inning. And I went back and looked because I had felt like maybe Wacha had some struggles in the early innings before this season. And I was wrong entirely. So I went back. Remember, he gave up the home run to Vladdy Jr. in the first game of the Toronto series on that Friday night, and then went 7 shutout the rest of the way. Before that start, in the first 21 starts of the season, Michael Wacha had a .42 ERA in the first inning. He had given up one earned run in the first inning before the Toronto series. And then obviously gave up the one to Vladdy and two tonight. And, I've made my comments about the ballpark at Fenway. It's a fantastic venue to catch a game. It's got to be a nightmare to play in as a pitcher and as a fielder. But he got roughed up a little bit in the first inning. I'll be honest. He did not have a great start out of the first inning, but he really settled in. And Michael Wacha is a two-pitch pitcher. He's very Brady Singer-ish in the fact that he only throws two pitches. The slider is there on occasion. I don't know how much he threw it tonight. I'm going to go to Savant real quick and see how much he threw that slider. I guess he was really mixing it up tonight. 16 sliders, 22% sliders. So he was mixing it up pretty well tonight, and then obviously mixed in the curveball to go along with that bread and butter. So he was more versatile tonight than he has been in a while. I think he was in the Toronto series as well after he got through that third time in the order. Listen, I'm a Matt Quatraro defender. A lot of people learned that last night, and I'm not going to carry the guy's water. I didn't like the decision to pull him, especially after the Royals tagged him for 3 in the top of the 7th. Now, maybe the decision was made right after Wacha came out in the 6th and said, "Hey, we're gonna go to the pen. We're gonna go to Hunter Harvey." Maybe that decision was made. And in Matt Quatraro's defense, and this is not the greatest defense of it, but in his defense, Hunter Harvey hadn't thrown since Sunday. Lucas Ursig hadn't thrown since Sunday, and neither had Carlos Estevez. So you had 3 guys that needed to throw before the off day tomorrow, or else they'd be going into Minnesota with 5 days rest and a little bit of rust on the iron. So I understand it to that extent. But, man, I think that Michael Wacha was about as good as you could have asked him to be tonight in a true stopper position that the Royals needed him to be in. A little bit of a revenge game as he is going up against his former team. I'd totally forgotten that he had pitched for the Red Sox. That was way late in his career. But, man, I really liked what I saw from Michael Wacha tonight. Mixing it up, both sides of the plate. Was able to get guys out in the field. And, the fastball was sitting around the low 90s. He got 4 whiffs all night, which isn't great, but he was pretty, in terms of average exit velo, 90% average exit velo isn't fantastic. But he, on the night, gave up 6 hard hits the entire evening. So really kept the ball on the corners and didn't allow a Red Sox lineup that had been absolutely scorching hot to do really anything tonight. So tip your cap, absolutely tip your cap to Michael Wacha for doing exactly what they brought him back to do, a veteran presence on the mound. And he did a fantastic job this evening of being the veteran that this team needed. So very happy with what we saw tonight from one Michael Wacha. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, we'll discuss the lineup change. There was a lineup change. Jonathan India was not in the leadoff spot tonight. He hit 7th. He hit somewhere other than the leadoff spot tonight for the first time all season. We'll talk about that decision and if that will be consistent going forward. Coming up next on the Royals Postcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Gameday Hue. Gameday Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. I've worn mine to tailgates, tee times, or out just running errands, and I always get compliments. And it's not just hats. Check out their split shade gloves made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. And it's not just, right now you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals. So now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com, code MLB15. Episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. now that we are getting closer to football season, I'm someone who loves to order a pizza, order some DoorDash. And thanks to Monarch Money, I'm able to track how much I spend on food delivery for the perfect football weekend. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, the offense got a jolt tonight, and I've been calling for it ever since they picked up Mike Yastrzemski. They needed him in the leadoff spot. Number one, it allows you to move Jonathan India out of the leadoff spot. And number two, that's where he's at his best this season and where he's most comfortable in the lineup. You are not going to mistake Mike Yastrzemski for a guy that is in the middle of the order for a playoff team. That's just not who he is. He's had his run-ins with a fastball. I mean, he's had some good power seasons, but in his mid-30s, early to mid-30s, that's just not who he is at this point of his career. He gave them a jolt tonight, and I don't want to say that Jonathan India was benefited by hitting lower in the lineup. Jonathan India was perfectly fine tonight. Obviously hitting the 3-run homer, got the offense going in that he got the offense going in the, I believe it was the 3rd inning. I wrote it down. I just didn't write down the inning. The 4th inning. He was instrumental in the bottom of the order getting going. And maybe that's the thing that he can do for this team going forward. He doesn't have to be the leadoff guy that leads off games, but he can be the leadoff guy for the bottom of the order. A lot of times, and this was way back, this was when Joe Madden was managing for the Cubs, a National League team, and he infamously put the pitcher in the 8-hole and a secondary leadoff guy in the 9-hole. Not calling for Jonathan India to bat in the 9-hole. I actually like Kyle Isbell in the 9-hole. But what Jonathan India could do is he could be the leadoff guy for that second part of the order, whether he's batting 6th, 7th, 8th, or even 9th. He can be a secondary leadoff guy that he might lead off innings every once in a while. He might get the offense kick-started with a single to the right side. But I love the lineup that they drew up tonight. I really did. This I feel like was the best lineup they could have rolled out there. Probably would have rather had India at second maybe than Frazier. Frazier kicked the ball. It didn't end up being an error, but it cost him a double play. But this was probably, and maybe you can take out John Rave as I would, obviously, as he's played well recently. Every time I tweet about John Rave, he shuts me up. So the bit will continue. But I think this was a really good lineup tonight. Obviously, you get enough out of the bottom of the order. And when Jack Caglione comes back, he'll probably split time with either Yastrzemski or John Rave in the outfield. And I think that's probably the best thing for them. But I was very content with the lineup they rolled out there tonight. A lot of people in the chat are asking when Cags will return. And I'm I don't know about that. I don't know really. I'm in Wichita. I live in Wichita. I actually live right next to the baseball stadium. My apartment's right next to the baseball stadium. And my apartment, the window in my apartment got hit last night by a couple wind surge home runs that Michael Lorenzen gave up. He, I feel like, is probably a start or two away from being ready to go once again. And I don't think the Royals are in any kind of rush, especially with how well Ryan Bergert threw last night. I think Bailey Falter is going to pitch much better than he did against the Red Sox in the first outing. But I thought the offense played really well tonight. Mike Yastrzemski in the leadoff spot, right where he needs to be. And a lot of people, I don't know if I'd say a lot of people, one guy keeps saying that Bobby Witt Jr. isn't clutch, despite being top 20 in batting with runners in scoring position, top 20 in hitting with 2 outs. Bobby Witt Jr., RBI single on the top of the 3rd to get the team on the board. I don't know if I'd say he's not clutch. Does he have a signature go-ahead grand slam like he did against the White Sox last year? No, he doesn't. But he's taken a regression. I was looking at FanGraphs yesterday. Bobby Witt Jr. last season had the second best season by a Major League Baseball shortstop in terms of WAR since the Royals became a franchise in the 70s. Second best. Has he regressed? Absolutely. Is he on pace for one of the top 5 non-George Brett seasons in WAR in Royals history? Also, yes. So, yes, there's frustration when it comes to Bobby Witt Jr. Understandable, but he's still one of the top 5 players in Major League Baseball. And he showed that tonight. He was really good tonight. Obviously, he only went 1 for 3, but he worked a walk, had a couple nice plays in the field, and he stole a base. I don't think you can be upset by that. And once again, in that inning, that same inning that Bobby drove in Yaz, Michael Garcia can't get a run in. Just cannot get him in. And I know somebody in the chat or somebody on Twitter said it looks like he's already ready for the Minnesota series. Michael Garcia's effort has always been lackluster. It's frustrating when he's not playing well, but he has been scorching hot since the All-Star break. So I'll give him a bit of a pass in this series. But also, the one thing I also saw tonight, Vinny Pasquantino continues to struggle with runners in scoring position. Before the 8th inning, he was 0 for 3 tonight. Had 3 opportunities and squandered all of them. Has to be better with runners in scoring position if he wants to hit in the 3-hole. I was very impressed. I think this is the best lineup the Royals could run out. I mean, maybe you swap Michael and Salvi, but even then, that's grasping at straws. This is the best 9 the Royals could have run out. So very, very pleased with what this team was able to do tonight. And I think that this sets them up to be able to go into Minnesota and take a series and have a winning road trip. They just have to win the road trip, because if you look at the schedule coming up and including the Twins, this is a really easy, or not really easy. There's no such thing as an easy game in Major League Baseball. They aren't playing FCS teams like you do in college football. Every game is a difficult game, and it's baseball where every game can be different. But they get the Twins starting on Friday. And obviously, Joe Ryan going on Friday. Don't love that whatsoever. But then you get the Nationals, who have been atrocious this season, and I have their over and win total because I'm an idiot. And then the White Sox. You have to get really, really hot right now. I'd say you have to win 7 of 9 to really, that puts you 6 games over. That puts you within striking distance to put them in a position to make a run. Because after that, after the White Sox game, the Texas Rangers have been scorching hot since the All-Star break. The Detroit Tigers, while they've scuffled recently, it's on the road. 4-3, and I'm sure they'll see Scooble in that series. And Detroit has been a bit of a house of horrors for Kansas City recently. Then you get the White Sox. Okay, well, you get the White Sox on the road, where you did not perform well the last time you were there. Then you get the Tigers for 3. The Angels for 3, the Twins for 3, a 9-game homestand to close out August and take you into September. They've got to come out of August at least 5 to 6 games over 500 for them to seriously be in a contention for a wild card spot. I've said it a bunch of times, and maybe it'll be their slogan for the rest of the season. They're not contenders, they're competitors. They just need to be competing for that wild card spot. So I just think they are in a position now to make a run, and they need to take advantage of a really big dip in competition where you go facing, the number 1 team in the American League in the Blue Jays to the literal hottest team in Major League Baseball in the Red Sox. Now the schedule lightens up a little bit. You can take a breath a little bit, but you can't take your foot off the gas. They have to keep playing well. But this is setting them up to be in position heading into September when Lorenzen gets healthy, and Reagan starts to work his way back, and Jack Caglione works his way back, and maybe we see Steven Cruz return. That sets the table for them to make a potential September run, because as everyone knows, the Royals, except for last season, are always the best September team for some reason in all of baseball. So they need to be able to make a run in September, and they need these next however many games, I'd say 22 games, to put them in a position to do just that. I appreciate you guys for joining us tonight in the chat. We will not be here tomorrow. Womp womp. The Royals have a day off tomorrow. I'm going to enjoy some time with some friends and family out at the ballpark here in Wichita. I'll catch up on I'll take a look at the Royals AA prospects. I'll give you some scouting reports for some of the guys. Obviously not very many notable guys. Let me see who's going to be on the hill tomorrow for Northwest Arkansas, because that might actually be interesting to see what's going to be taking place, because it should be a really fun game. Thursday, Connor Prelip and Steven Zobak. So Zobak going, one of their top 10 prospects tomorrow when I'll be out there against the Twins' top pitching prospects. So should be a lot of fun. I'll get you guys a scouting report on Friday's show. We'll go live after the Royals and Twins game. That'll be probably around 10 o'clock, 9:30 on Friday. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys for doing that. Jack is going to continue Jack's going to continue giving you guys great content. I'd assume he's going to have a pair of episodes out tomorrow. All right, we'll be back on Friday for another edition of the Royals Postcast.